Let's move on, though. Last quarterback we're talking about today, Lamar Jackson, getting drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. And Sean, before we get into what it means for Joe Flacco and the Ravens, I just want to know, I know you said it enough on the live stream, but I have not heard you say it in person. How distraught are you that he's not a New England Patriot in red, white, and blue?
It's not that I'm distraught that he's not a Patriot. It's distraught that he's now a Baltimore Raven. And that the fact that Ozzie Newsome has the gall to go out in his final year and attack me one more final time. The fact that that team's been ruining my life as a Patriot fan in the playoffs, I believe a couple of times, I believe twice. And the fact that we even beat them, but they're even close games. Not just the Billy Cundiff missed field goal gave me a heart attack. The fact that Ozzie Newsome just wants to go out and attack me like this, I feel like I need to get a restraining order against Ozzie Newsome. I am terribly annoyed that we took Sony Michel with the 31st overall pick when you have 4 rostered running backs on the Patriots already. 3 of them that have been signed in the past 2 years, Jeremy Hill, Mike Gillislee, and Rex Burkhead, and a Super Bowl legend in James White. And now you add Sony Michel. Again, I don't dislike Sony Michel. I think he is a great NFL player. Well, I think he's going to be a great NFL player. I think he's going to be a really good running back in the NFL. But you have to look at the future if you are Bill Belichick and you are Josh McDaniels. And there's rumors and reports coming out that the Patriots were in love with Lamar Jackson.
They were impressed.
How impressed were you, though? And that's the thing is...
Because you passed on him twice.
Yeah, passed on him twice, and you just let him go. And it's disappointing. I don't know what the future plan for the Patriots are at quarterback. You had
full investment in Tom Brady.
All the ammo to move up, to get a Josh Rosen, to get a Lamar Jackson, and you passed on it. So I think it's something that's worrying for the Patriots' future, and I'm disappointed as a Patriots fan, but I've been disappointed before after our drafts, and I've been dead wrong. So in Bill Belichick, I trust because he's much better at his job than I would be at his job.
Well, and now to move on, Ravens do get Lamar Jackson. For the Raven fans that made it this far, because I know there's a few that probably said, screw it, Patriots, clicked out. Sean's a huge Patriot fan, wanted Lamar Jackson, wanted to get that take. Here's some coincidences with this pick. First off, 4 years ago in the 2014 draft, a Louisville quarterback was drafted 32nd overall. Louisville. So you got a Louisville quarterback drafted 32 overall. That team traded into the 32nd pick. Both teams that Teddy Bridgewater and Lamar Jackson drafted to, both wear the color purple.
Wow.
Didn't even think about that one when I said it earlier. But, Dave, we'll go to you first.
Sure thing, man.
What does this mean for Joe Flacco and the Ravens?
Sure thing, brah.
Sure thing, big dog. Sure thing, boss man. So, juice, man. Juice. But, I mean, the Ravens drafting Lamar Jackson, what does it mean for Joe Flacco now? Is there a timetable on him and his time in Baltimore?
I think there definitely is. This is a sign from, it was great. You did win. You did take us to his promised land, got a Super Bowl. We gave you a fat contract.
Well, the power outage got him a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Regardless.
He's elite.
Results were there. He is declared elite. But he's now kind of on the hot seat a little bit because the timer is running out. He's not a guy who looks like he's going to be your quarterback for the next X years. He looks like his time is running pretty low there. The results kind of show that. I don't know that necessarily the shakeup is required as far as coordinators, personnel around him, what it would take for him to perform at a top level again. So this is more of a guy we're bringing in Lamar Jackson, who we have high upside on. We think he's a special athlete. We think he's someone who can come in and add a new dynamic to this team that you cannot provide us and maybe do something better. He's not necessarily going to play this year. I don't think there's any need to even concern yourself with that. But the connection that I saw right away was the Marty Morningwig connection, and that he had been there for Michael Vick during the Eagle days. And as soon as I saw that, I was joking around with Sean on live stream, like, oh, you know why I think they're going to do it? And this. And he's like, and then
it happened.
Well, that's a good point. But also the other connection that was pointed out to our by our live stream viewers is also that they signed RG3, and again, different quarterbacks, but still same background. And RG3 lit it up in his first year.
Can kind
and
of
was
teach
taken
Lamar
down by
a thing or two about the NFL for that kind of a quarterback.
Was taken down by injuries, but still he had to go through that transition of an everything man at Baylor, doing it all for that Baylor team, and then adjusting to the NFL. Both had
you have to pick and choose your battles on each down,
and both had the dual threat ability. And Robert Griffin III had to balance his talent, learn how to be a passer and when to run. And Joe Flacco can show him how to be a true quarterback. I think it's a great spot for Lamar Jackson. I think it's a home run, like a typical Ozzie Newsome draft. I mean, I am not sure about the 25th pick in the tight end from South Carolina. I'm blanking on his name right now. It's 2 a.m.
I can literally just picture the
Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst.
So going up and getting him at 25, I think it might have been a reach. But also that
if he's your next
need.
Todd Heap.
It addresses the need because they haven't had a healthy tight end in years. Dennis Pitta was great when healthy, but he was rarely healthy. Ben Watson was good, but Ben Watson wasn't sticking around a ton. But again, Lamar Jackson, I think, is a really solid pick because this is going to be a place where Lamar Jackson can shine. He'll have a great defense typically with the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to have Marty Morningwig, who has been a quarterback before, has the former knowledge of working with dual threat quarterbacks like a Mike Vick. And you also have guys on the roster like Mark Sanchez was to Dak Prescott, and Mark Sanchez was to Mitch Trubisky last year that can show them how to be an NFL quarterback in Robert Griffin III and in Joe Flacco. So I think this is a perfect spot for Lamar Jackson. I think he could really thrive, and it's pissing me off.
So this is what I think when it comes to Joe Flacco. This pick of Lamar Jackson means after 2019, Joe Flacco's gone.
Oh, 100%?
He is no longer 100% gone.
You're writing off the Flacco?
I am.
The Flack?
The Flack has 2 more years,
Flacco?
and then they're taking the potential out. 2020 will be Lamar Jackson's first full-time job, unless Joe Flacco gets injured before then. Here's the reason I'm coming to that hot take situation. Is first off, with the Hayden Hurst pick, I can see why they did it. They need a tight end. They need someone at that position.
Oh, it's a need. I'm not denying it.
However, the thing I look at could you have gotten a tight end later and taken Calvin Ridley, who went right after you? You need a wide receiver as well. And the thing I wasn't bought in on...
Real quick, they do have some weapons.
And I'm getting to that. I'm not completely bought in. I like the Crabtree pickup. The Willie Snead one, he's not a 1, not a 2 to me. He's a 3-4 guy. Okay. Like, he's a guy that... Put him out there, he'll get you yards, but he's not going to be my 1, my 2. That, to me, is questioning. Josh Brown, same thing. He's John Brown. He's not going to be my 1. He's not going to be my 2. I want someone else to be my 2 along with Crabtree. And for me, Calvin really might not have been the best fit, so it's like, okay, go with Hayden Hurst. The reason why I say Joe Flacco is done with his potential out is... If the Ravens, of course, you're trading up for this guy, but why trade up for the quarterback when you could have traded up for Cortland Sutton, who was a big play wide receiver, could have been the same thing that Joe Flacco had with Torrey Smith back in the day.
Led him to
completely passed on that, and you went with the quarterback.
First off, how dare you disrespect the name of Brashad Perriman? The magical disappearing act of their former first-round pick.
So hurt.
Also,
Brashad Perriman.
I was so high on him.
The former Predator, who I think has played a whole 2 games. He's the Kevin White, but actually no one knows his name. And then also, I would rather have seen them draft a running back rather than a wide receiver at that spot, because you have Alex Collins as your bell cow right now, and Javarius Allen as your bell cow.
Kenneth Dixon showed flashes too, but he's not the number 1 guy.
You have a guy like Darius Geis, Rashad Penny, Sony Michel. I would rather go get a guy who could be a number 1 back in this league and help Joe Flacco, take pressure off of him. I think you have a lot of wide receivers that are okay, none that are over the top, but you don't have a guy that you can give the ball to 20 times in a game in that backfield right now for the Ravens.
Here's the thing I think about when it comes to running backs, though, and this is why I would go, for me, I wouldn't go, if you're going to go for Lamar Jackson, it's a great pick. I'm not saying it's not. But if you're going to pick between running back and wide receiver, the reason why I would wait on running back is yeah, you might lose a few in the second round because their next pick is the very first pick of the third round.
Yeah.
But for me, there's going to be someone there. There's going to be, like, whether it's a Chubb, whether it's a Jones Jr., because I think Geis goes in the second, a Kerryon Johnson, a Royce Freeman. Yeah, as you get further down, what if it's like a Bo Scarborough and you just add him to be that back and you have a committee? To me, Joe Flacco thrives when he has that deep ball threat, and Crabtree can't be it himself. I thought Cortland Sutton could have been the main thing. The thing I'm most confused about is why the Eagles traded the pick, because the whole news coming in is they wanted Cortland Sutton. News was they could trade up for Cortland Sutton. He falls to them at 32, and they go, nah, bro, we good, and trade the pick.
What trades? What needs do they need to fill?
Wide receiver.
Do they? I mean, they still
they lost Torrey Smith. He'd be replacing Torrey Smith and being one with Alshon
What did Torrey
Jeffrey.
Smith do last year? I mean, he wasn't a massive weapon for them. He had some flashes. He caught some touchdowns, but I mean, I'm not beating myself up over losing Torrey Smith.
I'm just saying,
hey,
it's
hell, if Des Bryant wants to play the Cowboys' choice, he's still an option.
It was
I don't know if they have a cap, but still throw it out there.
No, they're the lowest cap space.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was confusing to me to where it was like, oh, you wanted this guy.
But
you said you want, but you passed on him. That's the only thing I'm saying with that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, boneheaded move, but
again,
I was just confused.
How many smoke screens were there, Ricky? I mean,
this
that could have
was
just been
2 weeks ago. It could have been a smoke screen.
It could have been a smoke screen.
But even like
I
Cortland Sutton came out and said, yeah, they really like me, and they said they're going to take me.
I just think you can get a guy that I love in Equinemius St. Brown, right, for the Eagles later on in this draft.
There's
unless the Bears take him first.
There's a decent amount of talent later in the draft. I like the pick, though, going tight end into a quarterback, because guess what? Every young quarterback's best friend is their tight end. It's the safety blanket. It's the guy who is a body mismatch, and that's exactly what Hayden Hurst brings to the table. He's a big dude. He is absolutely able to absorb balls. He's not like amazing hands, but like his body blocks people out. He can just twist and he's there. Because I mean, they've got Flacco a consistent weapon.
Yeah, they got Nick
as
Bull,
long as he stays healthy.
Max Williams. It's like they don't have that one tight end.
Just get some medics out there for them.
Real quick, I like Max Williams. The guy just he hasn't shown it. But again, Joe Flacco loves tight ends. He loved Dennis Pitta when Dennis Pitta was out there.
Yep.
He gets so much usage. Yeah,
loved Ben Watson when Ben Watson was out there. He hasn't had that guy, so I think that's going to help Joe Flacco. Yeah. I don't dislike Hayden Hurst as a player. Again, it's just
he just felt the value wasn't there for him to be a
little bit of a reach. Well, I think, and again. Reach always has a negative connotation. It doesn't mean it was a bad pick because, again, in 5 years, you can look back and say Hayden Hurst is a starting tight end. It was a good pick there. I just think that there were probably more pressing needs, and I thought that should have been a Darius Geis pick. I think that should have been a Sony Michel pick, a Rashad Penny pick. I think they should have helped Flacco in another way.
Well, and that's the thing I'm getting to is you can add running back into it also. Reason why I think he'll be done in 2 years is they take Lamar Jackson. They take why would you trade up for a quarterback if you weren't ready to move on from Joe Flacco before that, at that potential out?
Maybe you're playing by the Patriots playbook of you always go for a quarterback. Always have that guy because you see the value in a backup quarterback in the NFL. But that isn't just a replacement plan. It's an insurance policy because if your QB goes down during the season,
the Ravens
I don't
pick
care
on
how
guys.
the Ravens pick right now. I'm saying if you watch the Eagles win a Super Bowl based off of a backup quarterback taking them through the playoffs, then why wouldn't you think to yourself, we've got a decent team. We had a pretty good year last year. Not amazing, not terrible.
Well, I mean, Andy Dalton kept them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, sure. Fine.
No, they did.
No, I'm
really,
just,
they did.
I don't care. I'm just saying, yeah, sure. I'm moving on with the point of you watch a team literally go through and you see the value every year of backup quarterbacks who get more and more time because there's so many injuries to this to every team. The value of having a backup quarterback who can come in and play snaps for you during the season, I think has gone through the roof. I think that it's no longer a death knell to the starter that you have go out and get a backup quarterback in the draft every couple of years.
In the first round,
I think you can rotate through them, yeah.
Is Lamar the backup quarterback next year, though, or is it RG3?
I don't know that RG3 will ever be a starting quarterback again.
I said backup.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
so
I think that
why would because we're talking about backup quarterbacks here?
So
Joe
if
Flacco's
if
going to start.
Gets hurt, I don't think RG3 would start. I think RG3 is like is the clipboard guru on the sideline.
I think they signed him for a reason.
I don't know that
to be their backup quarterback.
I don't know that he's got it left in him.
But the thing is I think that if he doesn't, then you can go to Lamar. But I still think Lamar needs that year to just sit behind it and learn and develop as an NFL quarterback.
He might be a transitional point. Yeah,
and I think Ricky's right. You're taking Lamar Jackson because Joe Flacco's gone in the next 2 years. I don't disagree with that. And again, I think he's in a great position. You're learning from Joe Flacco. You're learning from RG3. Marty Morningwig has worked with dual threat quarterbacks in Mike Vick before, even twice I think, because Vick was on the Jets even when he was the offensive coordinator there as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think in 2013, 2014, Vick was a Jet as well. Obviously not the same Mike Vick as we saw in the Eagles or the Falcons. But again, I think he's in a great position, and I think it does spell the end for Joe Flacco coming up soon, especially with that out.
Here's the thing, and this is an article from last year, so I don't have 2017, but the last 9 draft classes from 2016. These were the quarterbacks drafted in the first round, and I'll make my point after I list them. 2016 was Goff, Wentz, and Paxton Lynch. 2015, Winston Mariota. 14 was Bortles, Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater. 2013 was Manuel. He was the only one that year. Then Luck.
EJ.
Yeah, EJ. Luck, Griffin, Tannehill, and Whedon in 2012.
Ooh.
Newton, Locker, Gabbert, and Ponder in 2011. Bradford and Tebow in 2010.
Yikes.
Stafford, Sanchez, Josh Freeman in 2009.
So much talent.
And then Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco in 2008.
Hey.
How many of those guys were drafted to be a backup and never were not all those guys were drafted to eventually be the starter for their team?
And how many panned out?
No, and I'm not saying panned out. I'm saying starter for their team. You don't trade up for a guy in the first round unless he's going to be your starter. I'm not trading up for a quarterback in the first round.
I think the plan is he will be your starter at some point, but I don't think the line is 2 years exactly. I think that you get Flacco on a cheaper deal at that point in time. I don't think this means that he is done at the end of his contract, period, bar none. Doesn't matter what you've done for us. Doesn't matter where we're at.
The end of his contract would be 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a renegotiation point. I think that's all it is. I don't think it's a get the fuck out of town, Joe. Thanks for all the memories.
Then how long would you have
How long did Aaron
sit?
Rodgers sit?
I mean, Joe Flacco's not Brett Favre.
I know he's not. I'm just saying it's happened before.
And I mean,
I don't think that. Look, I don't love Joe Flacco. I don't think he's going to take them to another Super Bowl. But I also don't think the Ravens are the type of organization who's going to kick out a quarterback who's been with the franchise for a decade. I don't see them being those guys who are like, and your time's done, sorry. They're not quick to move on.
Well,
They're loyal if you're good.
Trent Dilfer stayed until Trent Dilfer was done.
That was so long ago, and no, he wasn't. Trent Dilfer was gone next year, I'm pretty sure. I'm literally thinking he won a Super Bowl and he was gone. So no, Trent Dilfer did not have that pleasure. But they're loyal to guys that are good and still kicking it. I mean, Terrell Suggs is still a great pass rusher on the end. That's why he's still around. Ed Reed was still good at the end of his time.
You're right.
That's why
Trent Dilfer was in Baltimore, and then the next year he was in Seattle.
Ray Lewis was still a great player. That's why he was on the team. I think if Joe Flacco doesn't have value to this team anymore and he's going to cost them money, then why would you keep him around? Because that's just taking away we've seen teams thrive on having rookie quarterbacks as their starter. Look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a reason why the Eagles were able to build up that great team is because your starting quarterback didn't cost you any money. Right now is going to still give you the window from Lamar Jackson's 3rd, 4th, and 5th year to build a Super Bowl contender around him while Joe Flacco's gone. I think that this is more of a cap move because he might not be ready year 1, year 2, but year 3 he should be ready, and in those 3 years that's going to give us an opportunity to win a Super Bowl if Lamar Jackson is the quarterback we believe he can become.
I mean, the renegotiation thing is interesting because for sure they're renegotiating this deal after that because he's going to make $12,000. This is base salary. $12,000 this year.
Million.
12 million. I said thousand. 12 million.
Well, $12,000.
18.5 million
for an elite quarterback.
18.5 million the next year. Then it jumps to 20.2. Then 24.2.
How much is all that live cap though? Because I'm pretty sure there's some dead money at some point.
So the cap hit for this year will be 24. It says 24.75 mil. The dead cap is 28.7, then 26.5, 28-24.
I'm pretty sure at some point, though, he does have. I think next year he has dead money, is what Schefter tweeted out. So I think at some point they can just cut their losses with Flacco or cut Flacco.
It's after 2019 season. They have it's a potential out.
Yeah,
so after 2019, they can cut him, no question.
I think it's time for Flacco. I mean, Flacco again, he got him a Super Bowl, but I think at some point you got to move on from him because again, as much as he's done, he's kind of a Tyrod Taylor in the sense of he's not gonna he's a better quarterback.
Yeah, but
recently it's more of Joe Flacco is not going to win you games, he's not going to lose you games. There hasn't been a lot of. They were 5 years removed from the Super Bowl. I think we're fine to say that.
And the question I'll ask Dave is because you brought in Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years before Brett was traded, and then he started his 4th year. With how the contract lands up, let's say I'm putting you in the shoes of Ozzie Newsome.
Well, he's gone after this year.
Yeah, okay.
He's
so
retired,
Dave's taking over for Ozzie Newsome. Congratulations.
What if that happens?
Pretty cool deal.
Congrats,
Pretty
Dave.
Deal.
You now have Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
You have Joe Flacco, 2 years potential out, then 2 years after that. So are you going to get rid of him and then say, hey, I'll re-sign you for a 1-year deal? And then Lamar takes over 3 years? Like, how long would you have Lamar sit?
I would open up with a quick call to Josh McCown and be like, so I need myself a gym teacher to start a quarterback here.
Call him Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Then maybe Jay Cutler. Look, it's entirely performance dependent.
We'll call up Brady Quinn.
It's entirely performance dependent.
If Joe Flacco wins a Super Bowl this year.
I don't even care if he wins a Super Bowl. If he goes playoff, are you kicking him out?
Win the fucking Super Bowl.
No, I'm just throwing it out there.
If this Baltimore team goes playoff, like, are you going to do the hard reset? Like, look at us and be like, realistically, this is our top end with this team. You can't get us further than this point. We're going to pull the cord. I'm okay with that. I mean, as a Bears fan, we walked away from a playoff coach, and we're like, yeah, no, this is as far as it takes us. Sorry, it's been a good run, but it's time to reload. And I think that's the kind of line in the sand. It's entirely performance based. But at the end of the day, if you feel like you can't win, then why stick with someone?
Unless Joe Flacco becomes a different person and a different quarterback, he's gone in 2 years. It's simple.
Also, another thing to put into it is, so during this season, he'll turn, 34? During the next season, he'll turn 35. So at the end of that potential out, he'll be a 35-year-old quarterback. If they do keep him for the 4 years, he'll be 37 at the end of that deal.
I think he'll still start a couple years after that. Again, he's gonna win.
Just for a different team.
He's like a top 15 quarterback. He's nothing crazy. He's nothing bad. He's nothing good. He's Joe Flacco. I think that's all we can say for Joe Flacco is that he's Joe Flacco. There's nothing sexy about him. Like there's the fun joke that he's elite.
He has a very symmetrical face.
There's that fun joke that he's elite.
He looks like the owl from what is it, Muppets?
Yeah, a little bit.
But again, I just don't know if I think in 2 years Joe Flacco's gone.
Well, any final thoughts? Sean kind of gave his.
Yeah,
Dave.
Fuck the Ravens.
Well, that's just the Patriot thing because they took Lamar Jackson.
That's just the Sean thing, all right?
Wait,
Fuck the Ravens.
Do you hate the Ravens the most out of any team?
Right
Besides
now he
the
does.
Packers?
Right now he does.
Because your Bear fandom is the Packers.
It's the Packers more.
But like, if your
Good man.
Patriot side's coming out, who do you hate the most? The Ravens?
The Broncos are up there too.
Okay.
But the Broncos,
not the Colts.
But
the Colts, no.
Not at this point.
You and the
'cause-
Broncos share an eternal bond of Tim Tebow.
Not the Colts. The Colts are just. The Colts are like the little brother, but he's like 10 years younger than you.
It
so
can't
it's
be
like
the Steelers because you always beat them.
yeah, no, they're like the deadbeat cousins.
Would it be between the Ravens and the Broncos?
It'd probably be the Ravens.
There you go.
I'm more pissed at them right now.
Yeah, because
I
they got
think
Lamar Jackson.
They got the heat on him.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think. Will Lamar be pushing Joe Flacco out of town? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section.